here today with Grow Life Supplies at our CG Coral Isle Zest Wellness Backyard Garden. As you can see here, everybody, we have a variety of crops, and this was done not only by our Backyard Garden Society, but also by Jermaine and Miss Colleen Miller, all hailing from Grow Life Supplies Limited. So I'm going to hand the mic over to Jermaine, and he's going to take us through today's tutorial session.
All right, everyone. It is wonderful to be here with you guys, and I am glad to be able to pass on some of this knowledge to you. We are very grateful for the opportunity. Thank you, Naval.
No worries.
Alrighty, so one of today's topics is dealing with hydration of your crops. Now, there are many ways that you can do this, that you can provide a water supply to your crops. You can do it manually, but not really much people like to do that, eh? You have to remember to get up, grab that hose and stuff like that. So,
especially not in this heat.
So, exactly. So, what is the solution? The solution would be to automate it, right? So, what we have installed in these particular beds right now are actually drip lines. There we go. So, if you look right here, every plant, so this is a jalapeno plant, and this is planted right next to a drip emitter. So if you look right there, when the water is turned on automatically, which this comes on 4 times a day to water these crops, water is emitted from this emitter at 0.9 gallons per hour to provide proper irrigation to all of the veggies growing in this garden. Now, so like I said, you always, if you can, it's always best to automate your water supply, especially during the summer, like you said, Naval, simply because, you know, we go to work during the day, and so if we're not there to water by hose, what happens, you know, they're just there soaking up all that heat with absolutely no relief. And the thing is, if you look in this garden, we can actually see an effect. We had the irrigation turned off for a bit, just so that we can demonstrate this, right? And what happens is, so if you see, we're looking here, we have some romaine lettuce and stuff in here. This is romaine lettuce, and those right there are also romaine lettuce. Now, if you look, you can see the difference between the two. A lot of people will come here and don't even realize that this is lettuce. What has happened is this lettuce has now reached full maturity and is now in the reproductive stage known as, it's called bolting. Bolting is when it gets tall like this, it develops a thickened stalk in the middle, and you see all of these here. If you notice at the very top of this one, it's yellow. That will turn into a flower, and then you'll have many flowers all over the top here on all of these pods. Once those flowers dry up, what will then happen is what's left behind are the seeds.
Okay.
So that's one good thing with bolting, because now you can get new seeds to plant, right? This one bolted lettuce can give you up to like 300 seeds.
Wow,
right?
That's a lot.
You know, so that is an effect of heat on crops. Now, typically you don't want that. You should always have maybe just 1 or 2 that you allow to bolt, just so you can get seeds to plant again. But you really don't want to eat a bolted lettuce. So those ones there, they'll be similar to what you're familiar with when you eat a salad, right? Nice, crisp, fresh taste. Because this is bolted, if you were to bite into one of those leaves right now, it would be very bitter. See how important irrigation is?
Yeah, I see how very important irrigation is. So tell me, Jermaine, what other techniques that you have, or what techniques I should say, in regards to preparing your soil in the proper way to ensure that you get a good garden yield?
Good garden yield, it all comes down to what you're looking to grow. But a good rule of thumb to follow is lasagna gardening, especially if you're doing a raised bed, right? And what that is simply, so this is a raised bed here. Let's say nothing was in here.
Right.
How would I fill this bed? A good way to do it, think of it like a lasagna layers, right? So the bottom can be wood chips, and then you could add some leaves, some green leaves, some brown leaves, basically organic matter. Some people, if you have access to it, hay, you can add some fertilizer, add your soil, add your compost, and you're basically building up in layers. Think of it like a cake, right? And once you do that, what's going to happen now, all of that organic matter in there, and it's an excellent way to grow organically as well, which we do encourage you to do, right? And if you do it this way, you'll find that your beds would actually feed your crops for a very long time. So that would be one method of getting good yield. Another thing you can do to get good yield is, the most important thing with gardening is this. Let me tell you the absolute key to gardening, farming, and it's observation. Look at your garden. If people do that more, you'll have more successful gardeners and farmers. I mean, really look at your garden. So if we look at this right now, I can see, okay, the lettuce is doing well, the younger lettuce is doing well. We have some bolted lettuce. We have, that is a cucumber vine. Or is that butternut squash, Scotty? No, that's cucumber. But what do we notice on those leaves right there?
Bit up a little bit.
All right, you have some holes in there, right?
Yeah.
Observation number one. Is that a problem?
Yeah.
That's a problem, right? Look at these plants right here. What are we seeing? How does it look to you?
The color is different.
The color, the color looks sort of what?
Yeah, it's yellow.
You're seeing yellowing. What else are you seeing on those leaves?
Brown.
Look, chip up as well too.
But also look at the tip of the leaf. This is called tip burn. You see that?
Oh,
Yeah,
so
You
that's
see
tip
that?
burn.
Brown is
Yes.
burn. Okay.
And excuse my dirty fingernail being digging in the soil.
No
Anyway,
worries.
so what does that tell me with that pepper? Anyone know? What we lacking? We lacking something. We lacking nutrients, right?
Nutrients, right.
Now, what you need to be able to do is identify what nutrient you're lacking. Now, that would be more in depth for another session,
Okay.
but that is an observation that we've made, right?
Right.
Some crops look good, some don't. So, what you would then do is, you take a look at that crop. So I look at that pepper right now and I'm like, okay, could probably use some iron, use some phosphorus, you know, or I could just use an all-purpose nutrient blend. If, let's say, if you don't really know how to identify what the issue is, you can use something that's all-purpose to help you out, to make it a bit easier for you.
Right.
You know, get an all-purpose fertilizer. And with fertilizers, you can get them in granulated form, powdered form, or liquid form. Right?
Okay.
So just that right there. So let's say this was your garden at home. This is going on. You weren't paying good observation. Now a bunch of time has passed. You're looking at it. You're like, man, I planted these pepper plants from a long time, and they still look the same.
Okay.
It's because you did not observe your garden, and you did not act on what was there that would have been observed if you did.
Okay.
So I always like to highlight that. When it comes to gardening, observation is your greatest tool, right? Let's do another observation. Come over here. All right, look at this kale plant, and then look at this kale plant here. All right, what's the difference we see?
There's a
This one look
difference in
fluffier.
color. There's a difference in color. This one doesn't look as healthy as that one.
See, this one is not like healthy as that
So
one.
obviously,
Okay.
that one is lacking, right?
Right.
So it needs to be fed,
Yeah.
right? And it needs to
Okay.
be fed the correct nutrient,
Okay.
correct?
Right.
All right.
See how important observation is? There
Okay.
we go. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Jermaine, I have a question for you in regards to this. So how do you identify if your crop is lacking nutrients or is lacking water?
Okay, so let's look at something. Look in this bed right now. What looks like it's, touch the crop. Tell me something. Look at this Swiss chard here, right? Feel this leaf. Feel the leaf. Right? Now come over here to this much more lovely leaf, right?
This one off.
Uh-huh. So
This one seems healthier.
see, how does it feel to the touch compared to this? Hard?
No, this one is nice and soft.
Nice and soft,
Compared
right?
to This one feel
Tough, right?
Yeah, tough. Yeah.
Exactly. So when we were here last week, we noticed that. Observation, right?
Okay.
We noticed that. So it's like, okay, the Swiss chard isn't getting enough water. So to correct it, we made a change in the irrigation system to provide the extra water that's needed. And that's why you have the newer leaves that have already grown and reached the size of the older leaves, and they're much softer.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
You
good.
see that?
Okay. Okay.
Exactly.
So that's so when you're looking at observation for watering, it comes down to the texture as well. Did you identify nutrient deficiency just by the look?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. How do you know if you need to do something in your garden? Let me put it in the behavior way. Is the plant ugly? No, not ugly. Is the plant ugly?
Ugly.
Ugly? You need to do something.
Okay.
Right? So the key is another part of the key is just not to overcomplicate it. Don't overcomplicate it. It doesn't look right. Figure out what the problem is. Adjust. You have, when it comes to nutrition, you have some basic rules. So if the only thing you know is your macronutrients, you have nitrogen, you have phosphorus, you have potassium, right? You can literally go on Google and just type in nutrient deficiency chart, right? I'll send one to you, so you can send it to you. You can look at that chart. You can then look at the plant, and you'll be able to identify, oh, I need to add nitrogen. Oh, I need to add some more phosphorus to the soil. Then you can go to your garden store, or better, come to us, and we'll provide what you need. You add it to your bed, and next thing you know, your plant is lovely again. So,
There you go.
so we intentionally left certain things in here the way that they are, because for this session here, so you can see for yourself.
Right.
And then what we'll do is we'll fix the problem, then we come back again. It'll be lovely, and you'll be able to see the change, right?
That's good stuff.
Excellent. Alrighty.
So you heard it from Jermaine. So here you go. You're identifying your crops when it's nutrient lacking by the look of it, and you identified water deficiency by the texture of it. All right. So welcome again to CG's Zest Wellness Garden, and hopefully we can see you again next session.